Nebraska just wrapped up their biggest week of spring practice yet, and man oh man, over the past couple days, over the past couple hours, I have learned some brand new info about studs for the Huskers in practice, a couple duds, Nebraska's real philosophy going to the transfer portal, a couple players who I expect to leave very soon, a positional group that might have went from worst to first, and then we're going to cap things off with our second annual Nebraska Spring Practice Award Show. Who is the MVP out of all the players for the Huskers, and so much more. So really quick, this is a loaded video. I am fired up. If you are too, hit that like button. And really quick, if you support what I'm doing here, daily Husker football content, exclusive Nebraska Nugget videos just like this, recruiting updates, and so much more. It takes 2 seconds. Really helps me out. Please hit that subscribe button. Once again, helps me out so much. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it. Talking about week 4 for Nebraska football and spring practice. Happy Easter, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. And I want to get things started with our first segment, talking about a position that might have went from worst to first on this team in a span of only 4 weeks. I'll give you a second. What position or group do you think this is? This is none other than the defensive backs for the Black Shirts. You know, this is a room at the beginning of spring practice when the media saw them on the initial Wednesday in week 1 that we were raising the alarm bells about because they were getting absolutely cooked. You know, guys like Dane Key, Jacory Barney, Isaiah Hunter, even Hurley Gilmore at the time, they were running wide open, scoring touchdowns. You know, there was not anybody within 5-10 feet of them. And it looked like this defensive back group was not going to be able to compete in the Big Ten. Now, that has been completely incorrect. We've heard a lot of good things about these DBs over the past couple of days, over the past couple of weeks, and it all starts with the seniors. You know, I'll keep going back to Deshaun Singleton. He might not just be the best player on this defense. He might be the best player on this entire team for the Huskers. That's how highly the staff thinks of Deshaun Singleton. That's how well he's played throughout spring practice. And we talk about him like he's some veteran who's already capped out his potential. He's only 22 years old. And the majority of his, career has been riddled by injuries. For the first time really ever, he has a full spring practice with a, coaching staff that he's very familiar with. Deshaun Singleton's going to be ready to go. And again, he's trying to get paid this year. So you have him, you have Marquez Buford, who we moved him around his entire career from free safety, strong safety, corner. He's going to go back to free safety, which is his best position. He's had a great spring practice. You have Buddha Wright in there, who we feel great about, who's a hybrid linebacker and safety. So you feel great about these veteran single-digit players, but these younger players are really coming along too. Again, you got Sear Wright, who's one of the best returning, Big Ten corners, who's completely bought in. You have Amari Sanders, who's arguably the most improved player on this entire team. He's been balling out. We'll talk about that as the video progresses. You have Andrew Marshall, who's been balling out as well, transfer from Idaho. He might just be your starting kick returner. You got Jameer Khan, who's come back from injury in a couple months, who's going to be in the mix to start as well. And that's not even talking about guys like Larry Tarver, who I'm very high on, Mario Buford. Again, you got Jeremiah Charles, who's played well. So again, this DB room has really come along as of recently. You feel great about it. And one thing I'll say as well, John Butler, everywhere he's went, he's had a good secondary. Okay, whether that was with the Buffalo Bills, Houston Texans, with the Penn State Nittany Lions, he knows how to coach that unit. And you know who also does? Addison Williams. So feeling really good about this DB unit. A lot of these raw, younger players, they've really come along. Now, as of right now, I think your starting 5 consists of, I'm going to say, Sear Wright at corner. I think Amari Sanders is going to be your corner 2. You got Malcolm Hartzog working in the slot. They really like him there. And then you got Deshaun Singleton, Marcus Buford, and a lot of younger guys who are really playing well, like Larry Tarver, like Jeremiah Charles, like Andrew Marshall, Jameer Khan as the backup. So that's a really good starting unit. And I think a lot of guys are taking a good jump forward. So I think this is going to be one of the best DB rooms we've seen in a long time. Now let's get to our second segment. You already know what this is. The highlighted players from week 4, the breakouts, the guys who I've heard their name called a lot over the past couple days. I want to get things started with a guy that people really don't talk about a lot. This is Jordan Ashow, second-year player with the Big Red, coming out of Colorado, played a lot in the bowl game versus Boston College. He just looks the part coming out of spring practice. And when you saw him play against Boston College, he had a lot of bad weight on him, right? He was bigger. Now you see him now, again, he looks the part, right? A lot of good weight on him, a lot of good muscle, got rid of some of that fat. They're transitioning him to Jack. They feel great about his pass rush ability, his run stopping ability. They think he can do just about everything. But, more than anything, we just need a guy who can get to the quarterback on a third down, a pass rush specialist. That's what they think Jordan Nashau can do. So, again, know this name because I don't know if he's going to start. I doubt it, but he's going to be in that 2-day. He's going to get a lot of reps, over 10 snaps a game. So, really, really like what we've been hearing. Again, this D-line, specifically this Jack unit, is very, very deep. But again, they're trying to probably add another guy in the portal. We'll get into that as the video progresses. Second guy I want to talk about here, Grant Seagren has really been coming along as well. We heard about him initially last offseason, taking a big step as a former walk-on, but this might just be your starting, or not your starting, but your swing tackle coming off the bench. We talk about that all the time, that Nebraska needs a swing tackle who you feel comfortable plugging in, playing. Again, Grant Seagren, 6'6". I mean, he's tall, but again, he also has a bunch of good weight on, about 310 pounds. He's physical. He's really good in the pass pro. Probably needs to develop himself a little bit more in the running game, but again, they really like what they see from Grant Seagren. I don't know if he's ever going to be a starter for us. If he is, he's going to be kind of a low-end starter, I'd say. But that's what we're not asking him to be a starter. We're just asking him to be a high-end backup. And I think that's exactly what he can do. So Grant Seagren been playing really, really well. He played in 7 games in 2024. And those snaps were meaningful. And he played well when he did get on the field. So I think Grant Seagren is going to continue to develop. We've heard some good things about him. I'm starting to feel a lot better about this O-line, too. I was a little worried about it. I still am. But I think a lot of these guys are starting to come along, and Grant Seagren is one of those guys you feel confident about. Janiran Bonner is somebody that we need to have a discussion about. Okay, let's sit down. Let's have a conversation about Janiran Bonner because, frankly, I don't think this guy gets the amount of love that he deserves. The staff loves this guy. The staff's opinion is right here of this guy. The fans just never talk about him. And, I'm guilty of that too. We don't really talk about Janiran Bonner enough on the channel. Again, 6'2", 220 pounds. We forget that this guy was a former top 200 recruit in the country. He was a blue chip prospect. And, of course, his career hasn't really turned out the way that we expected. And, frankly, I think, the coaching staff's to blame. I don't want to, go straight to the coaching staff, but they moved this guy to fullback. They moved him to tight end. Janiran Bonner should have never been a fullback. That was a dumb decision. That was a dumb decision at the time. Janiran Bonner's a wide receiver. Okay, you don't move 4-star wide receivers to fullback. But I think the coaching staff's finally understanding that, and we've heard some good things. He's the best blocker on this team at the wide receiver spot. So you can first pencil that down. He's a guy who's a utility knife. We already know what he gives you. You can put him in the backfield. You can put him on these jet sweeps. He's kind of like a Chancellor Brewington. You can put him on a sweep and then have him block in motion. So I like Janiran Bonner a lot. He's going to be in the mix. He's probably going to be that 4th receiver on the depth chart. I will say this about Janiran Bonner. It's kind of a put up or shut up year for him, right? You go back to last year, it felt like he played a lot last year for Nebraska. But you're looking at his stats, he only had 11 receptions for 67 yards. 1 touchdown. So, listen, it's a big year for Janiran Bonner. He's got to prove it. I go back to how much I love this prospect coming out of high school. I think I really, really like him. I feel like there's a lot of potential here that really we haven't tapped yet. We will see, but we've been hearing some good stuff about him. The staff, again, they're still very high on him. They're still very high on him and expect the starting 4 to be, again, Jacory, Danke, Isaiah Hunter, and Janiran Bonner. All right, 2 more guys I want to get to. Williams Nwaneri has really come along as of recently. Again, guy who's went up and he's about 280 right now, 275 give or take, and 6'7" going into his second year. We talk about, again, all the time on the channel, getting a 3 technique who can rush the passer at an elite level. This is the only guy who I truly believe can do that. He's not great in the run stopping unit, but this is somebody who you can plug and play on a 3rd down, and you feel really, really comfortable about him eating up a double team or getting to the quarterback on the edge. And Williams Nwaneri, again, been hearing some really, really good nuggets that he's locked in, right? He was not locked in at Missouri. That's a well-known fact. Again, there's some stuff off the field. Again, we're being a dead horse, but he's locked in at Nebraska. This is a place he wanted to be. You feel good about Williams Nwaneri. Again, is he going to start? I don't think so, but that's not what they're going to ask him to do this year. They're going to primarily ask him to be kind of that 3 technique 3rd down player. And he's going to play a lot. But the starters don't really matter on the defensive line because we play about 10 defensive linemen every single game. But he's going to get a lot of reps. And then I want to just end things off. This isn't a breakout player, but I just feel like we never really talked about Danke on the channel because it's expected that he's playing well. I mean, he is playing really, 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 really well. I mean, He's a true professional. 6'3", 210 pounds. He talked about how he wanted to be more physical this spring. He's lived up to that. He's put on a couple more extra pounds, right? He's working on his contested catchability. He's made some great catches with him and Ja'Cory Barney. They've been noted to have two of the best hands on the team. Again, that run after catchability. He's working on his stamina. He said that his stamina is a lot better than what it was in Kentucky, so he's trying to play every snap here. So, listen, man, this receiver room is so good. And I'm trying not to buy all the stock yet because the receiver room never lives up to expectations. We always hype it up, and it kind of never lives up to that. But it's hard not to get excited about a guy like Dane Key, man. Just a true professional. Him, Ja'Cory Barney, that's going to be a lethal duo. And that's not even including guys like Isaiah Hunter, Demetrius Bell, potential transfer to that mix. We'll talk about that. But Dane Key really had a good spring practice. He's in the mix for the MVP award. We'll talk about that as the video progresses. All right, I want to talk about the transfer portal really quickly. Again, quarterback, not going after quarterback, no question about that. Running back, again, they're going to go after running back. I expect them to land one. Wide receiver, they are targeting a D2 wide receiver. We'll see where that goes. I'll give you guys a name in a later video, but Nebraska's being aggressive at that wide receiver spot. We know that. Again, Da'Keil Shorts, he's all about competition. He already lost one of his transfers, Hartley Gilmore. He's trying to add one back. So Nebraska, it's not guaranteed they're going to land a wide receiver transfer, but they're trying to add another one to this room. You feel good about tight end. You feel good about O-line. They're going to add a defensive lineman. We'll see about those other units, linebacker and DB. I doubt they will. So, again, just talking about this team in general. Let's have a conversation. Man, the culture of this team is really good. It is really good. It's been a quiet spring. This is the quietest spring we've had yet. Matt Rhule really shut things down. Not a lot of crazy nuggets here and there. But he knows how important of a year this is, right? He's not trying to self-sabotage. He's not trying to give any teams some inside info, right? A scoop on how well we're playing. But the expectations on the program, from people I've talked to, from a player from time to time, the expectations a college football playoff berth. That's the expectation. And I know a lot of people are going to hear that and they're going to say, Wilson, that's crazy. College football playoff, really? That's the expectation inside the building. And they understand that talent alone is not going to get them there, right? We are a talented team. We are talented enough on paper to make the college football playoff. We just are. But the thing that's been different about Matt Rhule this year is that he understands that it's not just the players that are going to get them there. It's the execution, and it's the coaching staff, and it's the preparation. And that's why he brought in guys like Phil Snow. He's brought in a bunch of these old school analysts who can help him game plan, right? They're already diving into the film. Dana Holgorsen, right, was such a key addition. That's why he wanted him so badly, not to recruit, not to really even develop, but to be another football mind. So you feel great about the talent. And we've talked about the talent all the spring. But the reason why the expectation side of the program is to win 9-10 games is because the game planning is expected to be so much better. And the close game scenarios are expected to be so much better. So the situational football presence expected to be so much better. So I'm fired up, man. This is going to be a good year. We just can't fall short. Okay, Matt Rhule said time and time again, this is going to be an 8-9 win year. Dylan Raiola, very expected to take that big jump. So if we go out there and win 6 or 7 games, that's a disappointment. I'll just call it what it is. We are too talented to win 6 or 7 games. We have got to go out there and win 8 or 9, especially with this easy of a schedule and with the expectation side of the program. Let's get it rolling. So, man, oh man, culture of this team's good. Talent on this team is good. Game playing on this team is good. We got to see it on Saturdays. We'll talk about that all summer long. All right, guys, let's get into my award show. So we have a couple awards to give. Most improved player, the weight room warrior, the guy who gained the most weight, who looks the part, best freshman, under the radar player, and then MVP of all of spring practice. Now I want to get things started with the most improved player. I'm going to go to the offensive line on this one. Justin Evans-Jenkins had a great spring practice, and this is somebody who is going into his 4th year with the Huskers, has played on that offensive line since his 2nd year out of New Jersey. We've moved him from center to guard. He's going to go back to center this year to be our starter. The thing around him has never been his pass pro ability, right? He's always been really, really good in the pass pro. It's been his running grade. He has been awful in the running department, and that's really taken a turn this offseason. We've heard some great things about his physicality, right? His ability to pull block, the ability to eat up those big nose tackles. So listen, I really think Justin Evans-Jenkins is going to be an anchor inside. He's going to be an upgrade from Ben Scott. Really have heard some good things about him. And that's what he needed to be, right? You need him to be that great center because, again, that's the anchor of the entire offensive line. If your center isn't any good, the rest of your offensive line probably isn't that good either. So you like to hear that about Justin Evans-Jenkins, my weight room warrior, the guy who's put on the most weight, the guy who just looks really good. I'm going to go with Keona Davis on this one, man. Keona Davis, again, he said recently he's about 270, 275, right? I mean, he could probably put on a couple more pounds, right, to get up to 280, 285. But Keona Davis, dude, we've heard all the hype. And we heard all the hype last offseason, too. He's finally at the weight where he can prove it now. He can line up against tackles in the Big Ten and win that pretty easily with his physical abilities. So I'm hyped up about Keona Davis. So Williams Nwaneri, another guy who put on a lot of good weight. So that is my winner for the weight room warrior. Best freshman. True freshman. Probably already know who this is. This is going to be Isaiah Mosey. Man, Isaiah Mosey. What more needs to be said about that guy? Again, Dana Holgorsen already said that he's not expected to be redshirted, so I really feel good about him. Again, obviously, I think my second runner-up would be either Cortez Mills or Houston Torres, what we've heard, but I like these freshmen. I don't know how many of them I expect to play, but those two for sure, Cortez and Mosey, will be not redshirted and will play right away. My under-the-radar player throughout spring practice, this is Kenneth Williams. I just really expect him to be our starting kick returner, if not punt returner, and might even get some reps at running back. We've heard some good things about Kenneth Williams, one of the fastest players on this roster, period. All right, MVP of all of spring practice. Gosh, who could it go to? Let me know down below who your MVP is. Without further ado, my MVP for Nebraska 2025 spring practice will go to Emmett Johnson. You know, I've not talked about Emmett Johnson a lot throughout spring practice, these Nugget videos, for good reason. I wanted to wait until now. This staff loves Emmett Johnson. And they're trying to hide him. He's one of those guys you're trying to hide. Because if we were to have a spring game and Emmett Johnson went out there, rushed for 100 yards, he's starting to get calls from good programs offering a mill to go out there and transfer, right? Emmett Johnson is expected to take that huge jump. Now, I don't know if Emmett Johnson could be a top 10 running back. I don't think he can, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be an NFL type of guy. That doesn't mean he's not going to rush for 1,000 yards. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a big game changer. And we've heard some great things about him in the pass pro, catching passes. He's as elusive as ever. He's the biggest he's ever been in his entire life. I mean, Emmett Johnson, dude. Whew. I believe he was my runner-up for my spring practice MVP last year. He gets it this year. And then my runner-up this year is going to be Deshaun Singleton. Love Deshaun Singleton and everything we've heard. I expect him to be the best player on this football team this year. I'm just going to say it right now. I think Deshaun Singleton will be the best player on Nebraska's football team and may or may not be our highest draft pick. We'll go back to that one. But that's my hot take. I really feel good about Deshaun Singleton. So, all right, guys, that wraps it up for all of our Nugget episodes, Week 1, Week 2, Week 3, and Week 4. Of course, we have Husker games next Saturday. I'm still debating how I'm going to cover that on the channel. Obviously, it's not televised. I'm not really planning on attending. I'll hear a lot of things. I'll see a lot of things. So we'll make a wrap-up video probably next Sunday about it. But let me know what you guys want to see on the channel about the Husker games. I'll keep you guys posted on that, what we're going to plan to do there. But let me know your thoughts down below. I absolutely want to hear what you say. Hit that like button and subscribe if you made this far. Have a great Easter, everybody. As always, folks, go grab, go by Rhule. See you in the next one.